Episode 4: The Crisis of Succession. Peace came slowly to King Shantanu. The terrible vow his son had taken had removed the last obstacle to his marriage with Satyavati, and in time, two sons were born to the royal couple, Chitrangada and Vichitraveerya. Bhishma raised them as his own, training them, guiding them, and watching over the kingdom's future. For a while it seemed that the crisis of succession had finally passed. When Shantanu died, Bhishma once again held the kingdom together. He could easily have taken the throne himself, but true to his vow, he crowned Chitrangada king and continued as his protector. There was a certain irony in the name Chitrangada carried. Among the Gandharvas, the celestial beings famed for their music and their pride, there reigned a king who bore the same name. The young Kuru prince grew into a warrior worthy of the name, bold, undefeated, and soon the conqueror of rival kings across Bharatvarsha. Word of his victories eventually reached the Gandharva king, who took offense at a mortal bearing his name so triumphantly. He challenged Chitrangada and neither would yield. The two warriors, one mortal and one celestial, fought on the banks of the Saraswati river for 3 long years before the Gandharva finally won. Chitrangada fell, barely having begun his reign. Hastinapura was once again without a king. Vichitraveerya was still too young to rule, so Bhishma governed as regent until the boy came of age. When Vichitraveerya was ready to assume the throne, Bhishma set out to secure the dynasty's future through marriage. His opportunity came when the king of Kashi announced a Swayamvara of his 3 daughters, Amba, Ambika and Ambalika. Custom in those days offered more than one path to marriage. A princess could choose her husband herself, or a warrior could openly challenge the assembled kings and carry away the bride by force, provided he was prepared to defend his claim. Bhishma chose a second path. He rode into Kashi, declared the 3 princesses brides of King Vichitraveerya, and challenged anyone present to stop him. Many tried, including the celebrated King Salva of Sobha, but Bhishma defeated them all and carried the 3 princes back to Hastinapura. Then Amba came to him with the truth. She and Salva had already given their hearts to each other, and had the Swayamvara proceeded as planned, she intended to choose him. Bhishma did not hesitate. He had no wish to force an unwilling bride into marriage and allowed Amba to leave for Salva. Ambika and Ambalika were married to Vichitraveerya, and for a while the future of the dynasty appeared secure. Vichitraveerya, however, devoted himself increasingly to pleasure rather than duty. 7 years later, he fell seriously ill and died young, leaving no heir. Twice now, the Kuru line had lost its king without a son to succeed him. Bhishma would never marry. Chitrangada had died without children, and now Vichitraveerya too had died without an heir. The dynasty for which Bhishma had sacrificed his own future now stood in danger of disappearing. Satyavati therefore turned to a custom that permitted a worthy kinsman to father children on behalf of a deceased king when the survival of the lineage was at stake. She asked Bhima to set aside his vow just this once for the sake of the kingdom. Bhishma refused, gently but firmly. His vow was not merely a promise he had made. It had become the foundation of his life. Not even the survival of the Kuru dynasty could make him break it. Satyavati understood that there was nothing more to ask of him. Her thoughts turned instead to a son who she had born many years ago to the sage Parashara on an island in the Yamuna. That child had grown into the great sage Krishna Dvaipayana, whom we know as Vyasa. Satyavati decided to call him to Hastinapura. Vyasa was coming, and with his arrival, the crisis of succession would take the Kuru dynasty into its next chapter.
What happened to Amba? Did she marry the man she loved?
No, she didn't. Salva refused to marry her. What followed is a long and tragic story, one that we'll return to in a later episode. For now, let us simply remember that Amba's story would eventually bring her back into Bhishma's life and play a decisive role in his death.
If you enjoyed today's journey, I'd be grateful if you would subscribe to the channel and share it with others who enjoyed great stories. Until next time, Namaste.